So if you've been with me for a couple weeks, hopefully you feel like you're on this nice, relaxing European vacation. First we went to Germany and Austria, then we went to Italy last week. Now we're going to visit France, which is actually one of my favorite places because I did an exchange program when I was in high school to Paris. It was an amazing trip. Well, let's talk a little bit about the music. Now, the French were big leaders in the musical world in the Middle Ages. They did some really creative, innovative things in and in the 18 or 800s and 900s, even past that, they had kind of two schools based in Paris, really, that really pushed music forward with it. But there was kind of a decline at the beginning of the Baroque era, which is where we'll start. And that doesn't mean that things weren't happening in France musically. In fact, I want to highlight two Baroque composers today. So the first one is Jean-Baptiste Lully. Now, he was the court composer for King Louis XIV. That means he worked for the king. That's who he made music for. He was responsible for the musical entertainment of the King of France. And he took his job seriously. First of all, he rejected what the Italians were doing with their music, and he said, no, we are going to create a French style of music. And that's really what he set out to do, and he accomplished it. A lot of the things that he did, we now describe as being very French in its style and its attitude. Another Baroque composer was Jean-Philippe Rameau. So they all start with the same name, right? Anyways, no, just kidding. He kind of followed in Lully's footsteps in kind of defining the French Baroque style that happened. And this was more in the 1700s for him. Okay, now on to the classical era. Now the classical era kind of took a little decline. Now there's a lot of reasons for this. See, music, it really, I said this before, it reflects the culture that it's in. And the classical era was right in a very tumultuous time in French history, right when there was the revolution, right? It lasted from, what, 1889 to, or sorry, 1789 to 1799. That's 10 years of fighting and strife. And so a lot of things weren't happening at this time. Now, there was one composer who is worth mentioning. His name is Etienne Nicolas his name was Etienne Nicolas Merlu. No, his name was Etienne Nicolas Meul, and we don't really know a whole lot about him. He's not very famous. You don't go to concerts to hear his music. He was mostly known for opera, and he did some really great operas. A lot of his operas kind of highlighted the ideals of the revolution, so they kind of pushed that idea forward. And most notably, he composed what would become the first national anthem of France. That's pretty cool, right? And so make sure you check out my website and especially my playlist today because I've included works by all three of these composers here so that you can hear what this French style is about, especially the national anthem that Mioul wrote. And again, you'll kind of get that sense that, hey, this was where France was at the time. So anyways, and make sure you follow me and so that you can get part 2 in a couple days when I publish that one. It's great stuff, and we'll just continue to have some fun in France.